Okay, part 2 is now in session. And then SpongeBob does a shitty job. He he tries to feed him a Krabby Patty, and so many, like, several times, like, and there was this one scene where SpongeBob's face had been shattered, scraped, and then out came, oh my god, why does this image reminds me of Happy Tree Friends? When SpongeBob's face had been half scraped. It kind of reminds me of Happy Tree Friends almost. Which Happy Tree Friends also sucks to begin with. Yeah, Happy Tree Friends, that also sucks. And then SpongeBob disguises as Karen, eventually trapping her, making a Krabby Patty for him rather than a chum on a stick. And he confesses that he loves chum. And then Mr. Krabs, he goes into the Krusty Krab the other day, and Mr. Krabs gives him something that looks like shit, and it actually tastes like, he said it actually tastes like shit. Well said, my man. That was well said. And then he goes back to Plankton's chum. Mr. Krabs freaks out about it, and he cries about it. And then he tries to get the secret formula from Plankton of his chum. Then he realizes that he looks at the customer's money that Plankton gave for Plankton, and he freaks out about it. And he's like, I'm never coming here again. The deal is off. I've eaten 10 of those things, and I had to go to the doctor twice. And then he's gonna get his stomach pumped. And then Plankton then bitches about not having any customer. And Mr. Krabs laughs at Plankton's misery after when Plankton was about to cry. Mr. Krabs. When I say Mr. Krabs is the main antagonist, I really mean he's an antagonist. Just look at what he's done to Plankton. He's laughing at his misery because oh my god. All because of a customer not coming back here ever again. Oh my god. That was a terrible episode. That was a terrible ending. Everything about it is terrible. I don't know what the director was thinking. They could have at least accepted Plankton having one customer, but no. This had happened. Now Plankton's all upset because no more customers for him, which is awful. And why wouldn't anyone want to eat Mr. Krabs' shit? We've seen this over and over and thousands of times that God knows how many customers Mr. Krabs has. He should have been okay with one customer for Plankton. But he freaks out about it? Oh my god. So yeah, Plankton's Regular was a terrible episode. Moving on. Number 3, I have A Day Without Tears. Now this was a very obnoxious episode. All this episode in the beginning was about SpongeBob crying non-stop. And then Squidward yells at him, and then he says that you cried 43 times, and shows a video of hundreds of tears he've cried over the years. And then SpongeBob confesses to Squidward that he'll go the rest of the day without crying after when he talked to Patrick. And then SpongeBob tries to stay strong by not crying, but Squidward is actually trying to make SpongeBob weaken by letting him cry. By seeing SpongeBob cry. Because they made an agreement that if SpongeBob doesn't cry, Squidward will sleep over, and if he does cry, he'll have to do some chores with Squidward. But eventually, at the end, SpongeBob had won, and SpongeBob then cries. And then SpongeBob and Squidward had a sleepover, and then Squidward then starts to cry because he lost. Really? What kind of episode? That was a very obnoxious episode. Especially when Squidward tries to make SpongeBob cry. What the hell was that all about? This was a very stupid episode. I have nothing else to say, but it was the shittiest SpongeBob. This is the most shittiest SpongeBob episode ever. Moving on. Number 22 I have The Krabby Chronicle. Oh my god, I don't want to... Oh. Now this one, Mr. Krabs realizes that the customers were getting newspaper and he's like, what the hell is this? These aren't even true at all. Aren't these stories a little more fake than truthful? And this guy's like, I don't know, but they're selling. But then Mr. Krabs had an idea. He hired SpongeBob to take pictures for his newspapers. But SpongeBob actually sees Patrick and takes a picture of him waiting for the bus to come with the bus line. And and then the next day, Mr. Krabs had made the newspaper and the customers weren't interested. And Mr. Krabs bitches at SpongeBob that you gotta do more than that, boyo. You gotta give me more good stories, wild, juicy stories. But SpongeBob didn't even know if they, because SpongeBob thinks they're lying, but Mr. Krabs forced him to. So SpongeBob took pictures of Mrs. Puff, Larry, Plankton, and Sandy, eventually ruining their lives. And Mr. Krabs like, if you don't continue, I'm gonna take away your spatula forever. SpongeBob's like, Mr. Krabs, please, you wouldn't. And Mr. Krabs is like, oh, fuck yeah, I will. Now, get the hell out of here and give me some wild, juicy stories. And yeah, he eventually ruins his friend's life. But Mr. Krabs wants SpongeBob to do the wildest, juiciest story ever. Now, this one was actually true. This one was actually about how Mr. Krabs treated SpongeBob like a slave. And everyone was so mad at Mr. Krabs that they took all of his money back. Mr. Krabs then balls because all his money is gone. And then he takes out a single buck, but he makes copies of it. Wow, Mr. Krabs. Mr. Krabs, you need to go to prison. There's no reason for you to make dozens of bucks. He should have ended up going to prison for life, guys. Not only he loses his restaurant and his job and his career and his money, he should go to prison for life. That's how it should have ended. The police arrest him for his heinous act and get sentenced to life in prison. That's how it should have. But instead, it ends with, "Oh hey, can you fix me a couple me and my wife a couple of Krabby Patties?" Patrick marrying the bus stop sign, which was a very stupid ending. Honestly, the ending should have been Mr. Krabs going to prison for life. Oh my god, that would have been a much better one than this shit. This was the shittiest episode ever, and how Mr. Krabs treated SpongeBob was absolutely cold-hearted and despicable and abysmal all at the same time. This was a shitty concept to shit after shit after shit. So yeah, I really hate that episode. Okay. Number 21, I have Squidward School for Grown-Ups. Now this one, SpongeBob and Patrick were playing a very childish game, like screaming whenever a vehicle comes. And Squidward's like, "Would you two shut the fuck up already?" And then SpongeBob's like, "Nah, I like playing this game." But then all of a sudden, Patrick grows a beard. And Patrick wants to learn how to be mature. SpongeBob wants to learn how to be mature too, but SpongeBob, on the other hand, does it the very wrong way. And he ends up annoying the fuck out of Squidward like he always do. And he still acts very childish, while Patrick acts more like an adult and more mature with his beard. He acts like a grown up, and with the appetizers, going to the museum, like this art museum, and yeah, Squidward is actually proud of Patrick of how he had changed, of being mature. SpongeBob, on the other hand, doesn't act mature. He still acts like a kid, like a young child, eating milk and cookies and acting really childish. Squidward scolds at him and he says that he learned nothing of it today of how to be mature. And then they walk off without him. And then they go to this opera, and SpongeBob sings a song, and Patrick cries, and then his beard comes off, turning out that it was an urchin. And then SpongeBob and Patrick reunites, and Squidward's like, "I am absolutely ashamed and disgusted. Don't you know what shitty performance when you see them?" And then they throw food at Squidward for being so hateful about this. And then SpongeBob and Patrick had a food fight, and everyone else did too. Oh my god, this was a very terrible episode. This was the reason why SpongeBob had gone downhill. And with SpongeBob acting childish, oh my god. Grandma's Kisses was better. The episode Grandma's Kisses, it was better. With Patrick acting like a baby, it was in that episode that was funny. But SpongeBob acting like a kid in here, it's so annoying. So yeah, I really hate that episode. Squidward's School for Grown-Ups. What a terrible episode. Part 3 will be in session, so stay tuned.